jump out of an airplane, you need more than guts. Of course you need reliable gear, but you also need good spatial sense. We usually think of the space and objects in our world in 3 dimensions. Most objects have length, width, and depth. But some people talk about other dimensions, a 4th dimension or 5th dimension. Time or color could be a dimension. So how do we capture this multi-dimensional world we live in on a flat 2-dimensional surface? Hey! Movie and television screens trap us in a 2-dimensional frame, just like paintings, photographs, and drawings. We use a lot of creative techniques to make pictures look like the real thing. We may use light and shadow, or perspective, or a sense of motion, or binocular vision to create the illusion of 3 dimensions. The play of light and shadow on a canvas can change this red spot into an apple and turn this yellow blob into a banana. And it can transform this brown space into a table. In fact, some paintings can look amazingly real. Eons ago, art looked different than it does today. The object thought to be the most important was made the largest in the picture. Or maybe all the objects in the painting were the same size. But in the 15th century, some painters began to use mathematics and perspective to create pictures showing the spatial relationships between objects. This picture shows things as they actually look to us, from a certain point of view. Perspective creates the illusion of 3 dimensions and makes the lines in this work of art recede to a single point called the vanishing point. Each train car behind an engine is about the same size and shape, but shown in perspective, each car looks smaller than the one in front of it. Three-dimensional objects are made of shapes. Now, the shapes of this box don't look like rectangles or squares now. But they can be seen that way if you flatten the box into a 2-dimensional pattern. Have you noticed that the shapes of objects seem to change as you change your point of view? A can of pop can look like this, or like this. And to bring these drawings to life, computers redraw images really fast to simulate movement, making the object look 3-dimensional. Motion also gives life to video games. Movement, perspective, light, and shadows work together, allowing us to play in 3 dimensions. But 3-dimensional illusions on a screen aren't always used just for games. Surgeons navigate through the 3 dimensions of the human body, guided by 2-dimensional monitors. Surgeons use visual clues on the monitor to guide their scopes and surgical instruments. They use clues such as light and shadows, motion, and perspective inside the body.
6-4, Mike, affirmative. Left turn on 7, hold short on runway 31, right, you're behind an eastern Alexa.
Here in this control tower, air traffic controllers help planes navigate through airspace. T-Bird here is an air traffic controller. How does he juggle 15 planes at once?
Well, radar really helps us a lot. It lets us know where the aircraft are in respect to our airport and the distance from the airport. We're looking at about a 30-mile radius of the Lincoln Airport and altitudes from the surface all the way up. There's actually no limitations on the upper surface.
But we all know that planes fly at different altitudes. How do you see the different altitudes on this flat, two-dimensional screen?
Well, you basically have to use the position of the aircraft on the radar, and the other information on there gives an altitude, and you have to be able to think about three-dimension space. I build a three-dimensional model in my head from the information that I receive from this two-dimensional picture.
Call them anything you want, but experienced skydivers like Tony Kim and Barb Farrell also know how important it is to distinguish between 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions. Okay, Barb, let me get this straight. When you jump out of an airplane and you're falling through the sky, you don't feel like you're falling?
No, we don't, because we're so far above the Earth that we have no reference to know what we're falling towards. The Earth looks like a flat painting to us. And some of the clues we do have that we are falling is one that we use is an airplane. If you look, as we go away from the airplane, it becomes smaller and smaller. So as it becomes smaller, we know that we're falling, and again, that we're in that 3rd dimension. Another thing skydivers use is our sense of time. We know about how long it should take before we have to open our parachute.
That's one way to see the world. Light and shadow, perspective, and motion all help give the illusion of 3 dimensions to a 2-dimensional surface. But science and technology didn't stop there. In the 19th century, stereoscopes used 2 eyeglasses to help combine the images of 2 photographs from slightly different perspectives into one image with depth. 20th century viewmasters, 3D movies, and illusions all use that same basic method. It's called binocular vision. Have you seen one of these? Holograms are 3D illusions. Light waves bouncing off the hologram let you see different views of an image when you move your head. It makes you want to touch it. Technology has advanced more than we once thought possible. Have you experienced virtual reality? In virtual reality, you can interact with the illusions and actually feel like you're living a multi-dimensional experience. With all these innovative ways to represent the real world, how do we know what's real and what's just an illusion? Anyway, at least I know I'm real. Well, maybe not.